So how does this negativity bias work? It really kind of helps to understand how it works. So first off, the amygdala, which is sort of like the alarm bell in the brain, is primed to label experiences negatively. All right? First off, it looks for the bad. Second, when an event is labeled as negative, the amygdala and hippocampus, which is part of the memory system, work together to flag it and tag it, like with a big red file or something around it, for recall from storage, fast recall, ready to go. Third, and I should say this, yes, we can notice positive moments, but unless they are million-dollar moments, they get remembered in the standard memory system of the brain. It's the negative experiences that have kind of a fast track, express line, T1 connector into this terabyte hard drive where they get stored. Whereas positive experiences get stored more like a notepad, right, generally speaking. So, third, negative events trump positive ones, usually. I'll give you a few examples. So, for example, as Seligman's research showed, it's relatively easy to acquire a sense of learned helplessness, and it takes a lot to undo it. I mean, the detail of his early studies on dogs were really interesting. It only took usually less than 10 trials to train a dog in helplessness, and it would take dozens, hundreds sometimes of trials to help that dog unlearn helplessness. That's why, again, I think we are primed to feel helpless as creatures. It's interesting to think about whether that had evolutionary benefit or it's just an artifact. You know, just because something exists doesn't mean it served anything in evolution. We have to keep thinking about that. But it is interesting to pay a lot of attention factually. The fact is, we're very vulnerable to helplessness. And that's why really helping people around that and looking for what you can have a sense of efficacy for is a very useful thing. If only the way you hold this horrible experience you're having, or only the fact that you can be present with it. You know, at least you can be efficacious in that regard. And I want to talk about the good news. How to take in the good. So if you think about it, what we want to do is we want to help build neural structure. We want to use the mind to literally build structure inside the brain. And if you think about it, attention is like a giant vacuum cleaner. Whatever we're mindful of, whatever we pay attention to, goes into the brain. The brain does build structure of what we're not consciously aware of. And I should say that the field of attention, if you think about it, I think of it as like a stage. It's got a spotlight in the middle. There's stuff around that spotlight that you can dimly see, and then outside that are the shadows, right? And that spotlight moves all the time, or things move into it all the time. And certainly, a lot of structure gets built in the brain below the waterline, outside the field of conscious awareness. That said, what we are consciously aware of, we really build a lot of structure around. Attention sensitizes the neural networks that have to do with that thing. For example, if you hear a sound and you suddenly start listening for that sound, the auditory networks will get stimulated, and when they're stimulated, they build more neural structure more quickly. Or if you suddenly have a sensation in your left knee, like, what was that? And your awareness goes right down there, those tactile sensory networks get stimulated and they build more structure. So what we pay attention to really goes in. Right. In that context, then, I think of taking in the good as 3 steps. One is to look for opportunities. That's mindful awareness of opportunities to have a positive experience. Also then, mindfully notice whether the event is actually experienced. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, extend the experience in time and space. What I mean by that is savor it so it lasts longer. If we hold things in awareness longer, we build structure. They start transferring from short-term memory to long-term memory. And if we increase the intensity, the space thing for me is space in the body, that we feel it throughout our whole body. And then it really, really gets big. So if someone pays us a loving compliment or just says something nice to us, to really stay with it and then let it really fill you. That's the second step here. There's even a mindful awareness of the embodiment of the experience, that it's really, really in you. Third step, intend and sense that the positive experience is soaking into your brain and body and registering deeply in emotional memory. So you're intending it, You're saying, okay, I'm going to really take this in. In mysterious ways, intention works. Who knows how that happens? A thought in the prefrontal cortex, verbally represented, with, Broca's area and so forth, blah, blah. Suddenly that thought is stimulating and lighting up memory systems. Great, who knows? But it seems to work. So we intend for it to come in, and we feel it coming in. I feel it coming into my back to some extent, or I'll visualize like a warm, golden, soothing balm coming into my body. With children, I'll talk, this is a great method for kids, especially kids at either the kind of anxious, rigid, or spirited end of the temperamental spectrum, because for different reasons, they tend to not take in the good. They tend to not register positive experiences. Also people that are depressed, because they don't really notice that a good thing has happened or something's different now than it was, when they were being mistreated or beaten up. So I'll talk also about a treasure chest in the heart, putting jewels in, okay? We're taking it in. I want to say one last thing and then really we'll wrap, which is that if you think about it, the journey of healing and personal growth is a lot like breathing, right? We exhale, we inhale, we release, we receive. We let go, we take in. That's the journey of personal growth. And we do it in all kinds of cycles. We release old pain, right? And then we take in the here and now good to fill the space that's been left by that release. We need to exhale, to inhale, right? We need to let go to take in. We begin by letting go. We begin by releasing, and then we receive. But over and over and over again, life gives us opportunities to do that. When I was a kid, I felt like the hole in my own heart was as big as a skyscraper. We're really talking here about how to fill the hole in a heart. And when I mean big as a skyscraper, I mean as big as the pit they dig, for the foundation of a skyscraper, that's dwarfing the dump trucks that are going in and out of it. And then late in my 20s, somewhere in my 20s, I'm not sure when, I realized, wow, I could slowly fill the hole in my heart, a few bricks at a time. Every day, a few bricks. Now, one brick is not very big compared to a big construction site. But every day you walk by that site, you throw a few more bricks in, slowly but surely you start filling the hole in the heart. And that is a wonderful thing to know in a world in which, as I said earlier, there's so many forces that make us feel like we don't have power. We are stuck in the Kobayashi Maru scenario. But actually to realize that what we can do over time is to fill the hole in our heart one day at a time is an incredible and peaceful thing. So may every being fill the hole in his or her heart.